Humor is a gift. As I said off the top, humor gave me a lot of gifts. Humor gave me very funny parents. My dad's from Holland, my mom's from Guyana. I'm actually half Dutch, 1/4 Asian, 1/8 black, and 1/8 vodka. It's a perfect combination. Both my parents are very funny people, but they grew up in some pretty unfunny times. My dad grew up in Holland during the Second World War, where he spent most of his childhood underneath the basement stairs with a kitchen pot over his head because Holland got bombed so badly during the Second World War. Meanwhile, in Guyana, my mom's country had a lot of poverty, but I always remember my mother saying that whenever somebody came to their back door asking for food, my grandmother would give them at least a cup of rice, even if that was the only thing that she had. And both my mother and father said they grew up with a lot of love and a lot of laughter in their homes, even though there were some pretty scary times. Now, growing up with my parents, my two sisters and I, even though they were funny, they were very strict. And they came from the old countries. They didn't mess around. If they had to discipline us, naturally, we would be mad. I remember this one time my dad yelled at me so much my hair was blowing back. And then I didn't want to talk to him afterwards. But then after a while, I had my arms crossed, I didn't want to laugh, I didn't want to talk to them, but then my mom or my dad would crack a joke, and we would all be laughing. And at a very young age, my sisters and I learned that humor could be used as an olive branch. Humor could be used as a communication tool. Like my parents, I leaned on humor during the good and not so good times in my life. For example, I always wanted to be a veterinarian. In fact, during high school, I actually worked at a vet for 3 years. Unfortunately, during my second year of university, 70% of my fruit flies and 50% of my final mark flew out of the biology class window. I was devastated. This is all I had focused on up to that point. And I took a very logical step after that. I quit university. And then I took the next logical step. I got in my car and drove to the United States to do stand-up comedy for 3 months. Did I have any prior comedy experience? Hell no, minor detail. Did I bomb? Yes, more than the First and Second World War put together. As Edmund Kean says, dying is easy, comedy is hard. Did I learn? Hell yeah. I came back to Canada and I was one of a handful of female comedians doing stand-up comedy full-time in Canada for the next 7 years. Humor gave me the best gift at the worst time. Humor got me unstuck. Humor forced me to learn different skills. And because of my love for humor, it gave me the gifts that the fruit flies had temporarily taken away: determination, resilience, and self-motivation. In the face of some pretty scary challenges, flat tires, snowstorms, hell gigs, Norman Bates motels, bad money, bad food, and bed bugs. Humor got me unstuck, and it gave me the gift of flexibility. Later on, I was able to apply humor to another passion that I had, radio broadcasting. What I lacked in radio experience, I made up in comedic experience. And over the next 15 years, I was lucky enough to do morning or afternoon radio shows in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, New York, and Los Angeles. Humor also gave me the important gift of fundraising. While I was doing the morning show in Toronto, I was able to hook up with some phenomenal organizations and some wonderful people. We created an annual comedy event that over 6 years raised over $650,000 for breast cancer research. Humor also gave me the wonderful gift of teaching. Second City Toronto asked me to teach stand-up comedy to the next generation of comedians. It's really exciting to use comedy to help people at various stages in their life. Many of which I could relate to: switching careers, being afraid, rebuilding, rebranding, building confidence again, or heck, just checking something off of a bucket list. Finally, humor gave me the greatest gift of all: time. For those of us who do comedy or speak for a living, we don't work 9-to-5 jobs, so I recognize that not everybody is in that position, and I feel very lucky. However, as author Richard Reed says, contribute. If you come across a charity, contribute money. If you don't have money, contribute time. And if you don't have time, contribute clothing. I chose to give my time to a local group called City Street Outreach. It's their mission to feed and clothe Toronto's homeless and needy. And when you see people on the street that are sitting on a blanket and you give them a cup of soup or a sandwich and they crack a smile or they crack a joke, you suddenly realize that humor indeed is a gift, sometimes in the darkest moments. So what is your gift? What is your superpower? What is your purpose? In this ever-changing world, many of you will face multiple careers in your lifetime. I'm here to tell you, don't be afraid of change. Use the challenge of change to continually develop new skills. Experiment. Don't be discouraged when things go wrong. Oh, things will go wrong. Don't I know? #chimpanzee. Be brave. Be resilient. Keep your sense of humor. And don't wait to make a difference. The world needs you now. Choose one random act of kindness a day. It just might actually help you find your superpower. Look for your superpower. Look for your purpose. Find it, learn it, teach it, and give it back. As Anthony Anderson says from Blackish, be ready, for when your time comes, you will have that window of opportunity. So seize the moment and capitalize on it. At one of the lowest points in my younger life, someone opened a window of opportunity and my fruit flies escaped, with all my dreams of what I thought I wanted to become. And damn if I didn't capitalize on it. Be brave, be resilient, and keep your sense of humor. Thank you.